to our podcast. We really appreciate it. We want to introduce you to an incredible man. His name is Glenn Ratcliffe, and he's not only an actor, but he is inspiring many people across the world to find peace and hope in not what they do, but in solidarity and in growing within themselves and finding their own identity. Glenn, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for the invitation. I sincerely appreciate it, Glenn. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you. I mean, we have a lot to talk about. Your acting career is pretty. It's pretty impressive. Your resume. You're such a humble guy, and it's just incredible to meet people like you. There's just shine, but in your resume shines on its own. Can you talk to me a little bit about your career in acting and your experiences?
Yes, I'll be glad to do that. First
Thank
of
you.
all, it was a little bit of a mistake how I drifted into it.
Okay. Okay.
I used to be a soccer player in Europe, a professional, and I busted my leg, so I can continue that. And I was in San Francisco, and I was digging ditches, and there was an open call for a Michael Jordan commercial. It was when the Soccer World Cup was here in Pasadena, and they were looking for an Irish priest that could juggle a soccer ball with regular shoes. And of course, I'd played soccer all my life, come from the projects, one pair of shoes for everything.
Mm.
So I dressed up with my Irish, regalia and spoke a little bit like this. The top of the morning to you, lass, and the rest of the day to me.
That's what I was
So
waiting for.
I was becoming this Irish lad I was. And so lo and behold, I juggled the soccer ball, caught up my nose, done all the tricks of my years and years of playing soccer. And bingo, I got that role with Michael in the Gatorade commercial. So that was interesting to me. I never studied acting. I thought, oh, this is kind of cool. And then the following week, I was still digging the ditches, and I was fascinated by this plumber. This plumber, he'd light his cigarette with his nail. He had a long nail, and a week later, it was a Benson and Hedges national billboard. It's going to be in New York everywhere, a cigarette commercial. And this was like a cattle call, 100 of us lined up. And I thought, I'm going to try this. And I studied this guy. That's when I knew I had a kind of empathetic synchronization with the human soul, because I
Mm.
became this plumber. And I was watching him, and I thought, so cool. So I grew my nail at practice for a whole week. I got my leather jacket on. My hair was long. I had my earrings in, kind of looked like a rock star type guy. And I'd never smoked, and I had the cigarette in my ear. And she goes, after waiting an hour, she goes, do you smoke? And I took it out, lit it with the thumb, blew the smoke in her face, the arrogance of me. Of course I smoke. And I got that part. And
Wow.
so it was a big billboard all over in New York, everywhere. And that was kind of when a little bell went off that thou shalt be an actor. It was just funny because it was just intuition. And then, that's how it started. So it started kind of through mistake in a way to find my calling.
Mm.
That's how that all began. And then, of course, I studied Shakespeare in San Francisco, and just kept studying and meditating and stuff like that. And then, of course, we can go into it later, the death experience and how it's kind of roller coastered from there.
You said near death experience?
Yeah, I don't know if you've been following me or not. About 30 years ago, was the major transition, because I was acting. I was signed with the William Morris Agency. I was selected to be James Bond in a TV series by Ruddy
Mhm.
Morgan Productions. We were going to do like 5 episodes in Thunderball, 5 in Goldfinger, yada yada, to win the syndication. Cubby died, Barbara took over, and she wanted like 20% of the back end, and Mr. Ruddy didn't have anything. So my shaken but not stirred days were gone, and I was a side pocket by William Morris, so that led to nothing. So in between that time, I was going to Hollywood to do a play, Arsenic and Old Lace, to play Mortimer Brewster, and I was driving a little rice rocket, a little Honda Civic, and there was a police chase. There's a blind spot up there, in Silver Lake, and there was like about 8 cops chasing this criminal. Must have been a bad guy. He had this, I think it was like a brown Pontiac sedan, as far as I can remember. And what happened is he went through the light when it was my time to go, and he hit me. And I spun around into a truck. His face went through the windscreen. It was like the map of Gibraltar all over the place. And I got pushed into a truck, and my neck snapped back, and it's like the God molecule in your heart came out of me like it was a silver cord out my head, out the soft spot in the head, and spiraled around in centrifugal force. And I saw my entire life like on a DVD. From the moment I was born, and I spiraled around. I went into the quantum field of all knowing. It's like a giant orgasm. I became the length and breadth of the sun, and I was residing up there in this quiet, peace, stillness with no body. And so when I somehow switched around, it was like a telescope. I could see the guy hitting my chest. And then I spiraled around back in centrifugal force, and I re-anchored into my heart chakra again. But it was different. There was like a thread flux of light going from my heart to everyone's heart. And I thought, my goodness, we're all connected. There's no subject object consciousness. There's no fragmentation of unity. We're not a drop of water with the ocean. We're not a grain of sand with the entire beach. And everyone is really one. We're all wove together in this tapestry. And at the current planetary logos, it's a duality, you know, like up and down, black and white, beauty, ugliness, compression, expansion. So the human being is trapped in this illusion of duality, but it's like a coin. It's a heads and a tails, but it's one coin. So you have to reframe your reality. So that experience was very pivotal, because it was like the death of my ego in a way, because I realized I was no more than a talking animal and a floating zoo. You know, this was a body was more like a cosmic robot, and the brain was a computer with a virus. So that voice in my head wasn't real, because that was just accumulation of memories that the ego uses to survive. And it's like giving someone erroneous data to make your decisions. So you compile that with your upbringing, the parental neurosis, the environmental hypnotism, the social media bombardment. You're trapped, because in the ego itself it wants to survive. It has a flight or fight mechanism from the mammalian brain, which is the survival mechanism. So all the decisions come from that part. That's the animal brain. So what happens is, if you're bombarded by stimuli of fear, confusion, doubt, bills, this, that, and the next thing, you create a habit pattern. This habit pattern creates a personality, and the personality over time freeze frames into a character, and you're actually trapped in a web of your own weaving, in a false world that you cannot get out of. So it's kind of sinister. And in the societal matrix of external reality, big pharma, finance companies, etc., AI replacing humans, they pretend to be the solution to this, because we're codependent, because we're operating off a mammalian brain rather than the frontal executive cortex and attunement with God's intuition. So what happens is, it's like we're just fodder for all the special interest groups and everything that's going on. And so we're stuck, and it's not a one-shot deal. Life begins death, and death begins life. It's cyclical. So if you're not careful, you can be stuck here for eons. So you have to be very cognizant of that and start reframing your reality. And God is love. That's what I learned. It's love. It's very core, and you have to initiate compassion, gratitude, understanding. You have to give rather than take. And it's like ice, water, and steam. It's a chemical formula is H2O. You have ice, right? It's frozen. You add water or heat. It becomes water. You add heat to water, it becomes steel. It's alchemelic. And it's the same process. It's like lead into gold or ego into soul. It says transmutation, because the whole universe is sound and light. And so once you understand that, you're in the world, but not of it. You're evasive of all the karmic retribution, because you're not reacting to the fake stimuli from the societal matrix. It's like when Jesus said he's here, but he's not. You have to be here, but you have to be the silent witness to what's going on. And you step back and be that higher self. And then everyone that comes into your life, you send a blessing of love to. So that was that experience, and that's what it made me figure out.
And you still pursued acting after that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did, but I took a sidetrack because I realized I had to first of all flush out why I wanted to be an actor. Why? First of
Okay.
all, when I was younger, it was, oh, this is great, my ego. But after that experience, there's nothing to do with that. It's a servitude. It says, if I want to get out this time and create enough energy to go beyond the gravitational pull and go into the heavenly realms, you have it. What can I do? And it was known to me as service. And I said, well, where's my talent? I can communicate, I can act, I can write. So the talents that God gave me, I use that to help the world. Not so much I want to be an actor. That's not important. What's important, if I can share my experience and love and help people, that's what's important. So I kind of reframed that. I know
Right.
you said you're a musician. I'm sure you have inspiration for your songs to help the world. It's not about, oh, write some bubble gum or get a fake producer to modulate my voice so I can do this great job and manipulate the masses and have the wrapping with candy that everyone will buy. That's
It's a
fake.
maturity. It's like growing up,
Yeah, of
because when you start in it, it's all ego. It's I want everyone to see me. I
course.
want everyone to hear me.
That's right. Of course. That's exactly true. And
Yeah.
to know that God bless you is some people don't get out of that. They freeze frame. I want more. I want more.
Right.
Oh, and they don't realize it's not a one shot deal. Everything you do is recorded in your soul seed pattern of evolution, like a gramophone record. So you can't escape your actions. You know yourself at the end of the day. Were you loving? Were you kind? Did you do the best you could to help people? Because
And
that's the
some of your roles, I mean, let's just talk about that. I mean, how about your experience in Ghost with Diane Keaton and Justin? Um, and then you have tested the movie that you've created, and it's an incredible story. I'm very excited for that as well. Can you talk to us a little bit about Ghost? Because that has a spiritual, feeling to it as well. So, kind of,
But
can you just share that, your
it,
experience?
yeah, it really does because
Mm.
when I got on the set, it was very interesting. The director comes up 30 seconds before. He goes, "I need you to cry." Thanks for the warning. I don't know. Looking, I said, "No problem. I need a few seconds just to get my emotions going." So right away, beautiful people made me feel very comfortable, and so I improved the moment I kissed Justin, then I kissed Diane right in the moment, spontaneously.
Mm.
And then 2 weeks later, because I signed the NDA, no one could know about this.
Rushing to hear what you just said.
Yeah,
Because yeah, we're not blind. We know a lot of bad things happen.
yeah,
But they're people.
yeah,
It's like you don't get starstruck after you interviewed so many people, and
correct.
vice versa, working with so many people yourself and seeing them as human. Which
Yeah,
leads me to Tested the movie. I cannot when all right. I'm gonna let you take the floor with Tested. And now correct me if I'm wrong. It's about a pastor who loses his wife, correct?
yes.
I think that
Receiving initiation in Kuan Yin, the mastery of sound and light, and living in a monastery for a little bit to try and reconcile the life beginning death thing. Just the tail end of veganism, just continual work on my spirit. So I was up there, and I just literally channeled this movie down. My daughter, she was special needs, and she'd get two report cards, one from Sacramento saying she's an A student, one from the local school saying she's failing.
mm,
What the A one was to secure funding while my daughter was suffering. So there's a lot of incongruencies at that level. And it's important for the children to set things straight so they go forward into a life of spiritual abundance. And the thing that kept me grounded when I was a kid was when I went to school, the minister would come. We called it RE, religious education. And he'd actually read 2 hours of the Bible. And
mm,
I got this all the way from five. I think I left school at 15. I was kicked out. Oh, this guy's got no brains, whatever. So, but the RE, religious education, kept me grounded. That was the thing where even then, I kind of types up how we're roped into a societal matrix because through the challenges and the roller coaster of emotions and adventure the minister goes through, encounters this corruption. And once you put all the pieces together, you'll see clearly and distinctly how the soul's entangled in a corrupt system. So that's the story. He goes on this journey, meets all this resistance from corruption. Uh, and this whole movie is like a springboard for my TV series, Macintosh, which is where I convert the minister into a PI, private investigator. And this is like a cross between Columbo and Kung Fu. And this will engage global social conscious change makers who have their pulse on reality and want to uplift the world to make it better. Like my first episode is why are older people dying in the hospital when their insurance runs out? So this will be an entire platform for the children of light to bring forth their stories or ideas. I'm going to have an open door where they can submit episodes, and as long and I think it's almost like Rocky for the soul. Never in the history of mankind has people seen so much evil, but the problem is they don't know how to handle it. They just become victims. It's overwhelming them, because they're codependent because they don't know who they are. If I say to 10 people, who are you? They don't know. I said, when you're sleeping, who's keeping your heart beating? Your kidneys, it's not you, you're sleeping. So the whole thing, the whole paradigm shift takes place if through new thoughts, actions, and behaviors. And these thoughts, actions, and behaviors create a new reality where love conquers hate and right conquers might. So do you ever see the movie It's a Wonderful Life with Jimmy Stewart?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's what the test it is. It's going to be, my vision is that to be like every year you watch it, because when you evolve in consciousness, you can read a book once, and the second time you read it, it's clearer, and the third time and the fourth time, and it's like peeling an onion. Eventually, in a nutshell, your ego has to die, and the resurrection of the virgin birth is the divine you within you, which is centered in love, compassion, gratitude, and giving. And all your thoughts, actions, and behaviors are attuned to that. And that spreads.
And this has been fully casted already?
No, it's not fully casted.
Okay.
We're in that process. I have my wish list. There's some people that are cast. We're going through the funding. I'm in negotiations with several people about the funding for this. It's going to be a SAG, Screen Actors Guild movie.
Lovely. And so this is still like evolving, correct?
It's evolving, and like we
Okay.
spoke before, I sent you the song. I also wrote some
Yes.
songs. I'm looking for some musicians to do the soundtrack for the
Yes.
tested movie, which I want to invoke a sense of pain, but ecstasy. So it's I want to reflect and hold the mirror up to nature in many ways with the soundtrack.
Yeah, because that's just gonna take it to another level.
Because music invokes emotion is energy in motion.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
music's a super powerful tool to reach people and affect their emotions,
And where can people help support you, the Test a Movie project? I'm not going to call it a project because it's pretty. I mean, you're on your way. You're on your way. Is there a place where people can support you financially, on social media? Where can they go to support and find out more about this film?
Well, the best way is to go directly to the website, testthemovie.com, because everything's there, the trailer, the pitch, the the charity donations, everything's on there. If you want to know more about the peace movement, that's testedthemovement.com. So they both go hand in hand. And I'm on Instagram, Glenn Ratcliffe 712. And the website also has, a chat. So if someone, wants to engage in conversation about the movie, because we have the business plan, we have, the waterfall, the tax advantages, the ROI, comparables, it's all set there. I have all the information for potential investors.
I got to ask you this, since a lot of our audience, they're in the entertainment field, like how, and they're independent creators like yourself trying to get their projects out there. What tips would you give that producer, that director, that independent creator, to get their project, bring their project to life, and to see so many people wanting to do the same thing. Is there any advice you would give?
Well, there's two hats you have to wear.
Yeah.
Obviously, to be true to yourself, right? I've had offers for my screenplay. I've not taken it, so I don't, I really don't know if they're personal projects or they're just making something because they're talented and they want to sell it. There's two different. The tested project for me is cast in concrete. There's no wiggle room. Uh, I'm standing for love and truth, and I believe this
Mm,
this is divinely inspired, and it's my gift to the world before I go. So, in that sense, I'm looking to synchronize with like-minded people. However,
mm,
if you're doing a project where, okay, hey, I'm a great, like you're a great singer, I want to get some stuff out, do some jingles, obviously the prayer, the visualization,
right.
the meditation, the social media infrastructure, getting people aware of what you're doing, videos, short videos, promoting yourself. So there's a variety of ways. And like I say, most serious artists are true to themselves when they have a message because they're reflecting their soul. The soul wants to speak through them in time and
Mm.
space.
And we can
Uh,
see that through your career and even the
yeah,
roles that you've picked, or actually you fell into,
fell
or
into.
divine appointments.
Yeah,
It's
right
kind of the
appointments.
common
Yeah,
thread.
it's funny because it is a thought wave universe, and I find
Mm,
myself when I get cast in something or ideas come, it's kind of reflection of me,
mm,
because we're creating macrocosm, microcosm. We're creating as we go along here, our reality. So that's I would say be cognizant of that and always come from a place of giving.
mm,
Don't try and sell your project. Just say, I'd like to give you some joy and happiness with with how I feel something, opposed to, oh, can I sell it for a few dollars? It's a different
it's
mentality.
a total, like, total shift. If
Yeah.
I think a lot of us don't, we forget, get caught up in it, because we all want to
Mhm.
make something, we want to make money. Everyone needs to make a living. But if you approach it like that, it seems like it just follows things. Other things happen, great things, you meet great people, you know you pass on that inspiration, and that's something that's so sadly missed. Because I've watched your and talked with other people and watched your interviews, and you bring such joy to the table and inspiration, and it's not just pretty words here. I mean, you talk about, you encouraging humanity. That's been another common thread. um so I want to finish with this, because I know the movement is very important to you, and to all of us, where they call us earthlings. And what would you ultimately like to see us, as people, achieve? Is it unity? Is it just being authentic? What would be your parting words for that?
My parting words would be almost like Socrates said, to know thyself, and who is thyself.
Mm,
Because if you know yourself, you can make decisions based on wisdom, not intellect. And wisdom is superior to intellect, because intellect is like cause and effect, back and forth.
mm,
So my parting words would be to go inside yourself. Don't let the societal matrix rob you of your health, your money, your time,
mm,
making algorithms on you on social media. Stand back from that. And the first thing you have to truly do is love yourself. Because if you can love yourself, you can love others. So it starts with you. You're the center of your own universe, and you have to take responsibility. You have to do recapitulation from the moment of entry into your mother's womb, how you actually lived in this illusion of three dimensions. And like I said before in many podcasts, you cannot get out of a trap if you don't know you're in one. So the first thing is you got to realize what's going on. I buy a car and pay the all the interest? Do I go to the dentist and pay all these monies without having a say so? Do I take this drug from the doctor? You have to first of all take your power back, and you first of all have to realize the game you're in. And what you see and hear is not necessarily the truth. And you have to realize you're a divine being. So the more people that realize this and figure out the matrix and say, I'm going to withdraw. I'm not going to feed the dragon anymore. I'm going to withdraw into God, and my currency is going to be compassion.